Hi, I'm Alex Archibald. I've been buying and selling antiques since I was a kid. Over the years, generations of our family have gotten involved in the business, and I'll search just about anywhere I can to find hidden treasures both big and small. I never know what I'll turn up next. It's about exploring new places, seeing new sights, and having fun. And even though sometimes I get over my head, we try and make things a little better along the way. This is Curiosity. Hi guys, and welcome to today's episode. Well, this is a little bit different. Normally I'll take you through maybe a storage locker, going through a barn. In this case, I was in an old barn and I was buying some stuff. And in fact, I'm hoping to go back there at some point in the near future, so maybe I can do a video there because it's really, really cool. But needless to say, I ended up buying a few things while I was there this first time. And I thought, well, even though I didn't get a video inside the barn, I thought I'd take you and show you what I bought, because there's some cool things, some interesting things that I kind of sifted out before I had to leave. And I thought it was worth showing you. So let's go out to the garage. We'll dig through a box. I'll show you the few things I picked up and kind of walk you through why I thought they were cool. Let's do this. Well, to do this, I kind of set up a little work table here, and I've got some stuff in a bin that I was scavenging out. So what do I do? Do I show you a bit? No, I'm just going to grab some stuff out of here. Okay, first thing up, I found a couple license plates. And you might say, Alex, those aren't in the greatest shape. And you'd be right. But the reason I picked this up, that's a 1926 license plate. In fact, you know, another year from now, very soon, actually months from now, this will be a 100-year-old plate. And if you have a 1926 car, you might just want to have that as a decorative thing on the front. Now, the paint is mostly worn. You can see this was actually black on top of this yellow at one point. And it will probably clean up a little bit more than what it is right now. So I might clean it up and then repaint that black just to kind of make it look more like a plate again. But a really cool thing, and I wanted to salvage that. And in the same note, here's a 1930 license plate. The little bit of the white left looks like it was black with white lettering. That's a little rustier, but I might have some rust remover stuff. In fact, let's see if I do. I might be able to throw those in and get the rust to come off and just work with the paint and stuff that's left. Speaking of license plates, these always sell well. In our Northwest Territories, they get these super cool polar bear license plates. You might have seen them around on the back of a car, but if you only get these if you're in the Northwest Territories, and their population isn't that great, so there's not a whole pile of these plates around. They do come up every once in a while, but highly desired by license plate collectors because of the funky shape. I was thinking about that. I wonder if these, I don't think they even interlock. Like there's a lot of wasted metal, probably because when they cut the square plate, you can put a bunch of plates together and save on metal. But with this, when they stamp it, there's probably a little bit of loss around there. Unless that foot re-intertwines or something. I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know how these things are cut, but you don't often see shapes cut on license plate because of that lost material. Either way, this plate, which dates to at least 1994, and possibly sooner, depending upon how many stickers are under there, it's just a cool thing. And that's pretty much exactly what the plates look like up there now. So a couple cool license plates. I also found, oh, this was cool. You know how people collect oil cans and stuff? In this barn were some old oil cans. Actually, they're not really oil. It's instant sealer for Radiator. But what I liked about it is that to advertise the fact that it's a sealant for coolant, they put a little scuba diver dude on there, and he's got his tools, he's got a wrench, and you look at how old that wrench is. These would date to probably the 1930s, and there's not just one, but two, and they're still completely full. That one, unfortunately, some stuff is leaked out onto the front, and the graphics are a little bit worn. But what cool things those are, that after all those years, they still exist. The Whiz company was a really big, popular company at the time. A little car polish on there, probably clean those up a fair bit more than they are. And a really good find to pull out of a barn. Graphics are everything when it comes to oil cans. And honestly, that might be something that I want to keep around myself. In terms of value on some of these things, I'll get to that once I go through everything. So I'll kind of walk you through what the value on this stuff is. Hanging on the wall was also this hubcap. Now, you might go, well, that's odd. It's got a little key on it. And this is specifically a side mount tire hubcap. You know when they have the wheels on the side of a car on the fender? That's a side mount tire. My Cadillac has them, and I know how difficult these can be to find if you need one. This one, it does have the key, which is super cool, but there would have been a little plate that told you the name of the car. Now, if you think about what car has an oval-shaped logo, if you guessed Ford, you'd be correct. So this is off of roughly a 1932 Ford that had side mount wheels. And if you look at the back, it's got this really cool locking mechanism. And as you turn the key, see if I can get it to turn. See, it kind of goes back and forth there. These little lock rods come out and pop into place so that nobody can steal your wheel. Underneath this would have been a bolt holding it onto the side of the fender, and then you lock it in place. Anti-theft device, super heavy duty. And this company that made these, which is the Hurd, H-U-R-D, lock company, it's a pretty rare and unique piece. So even though it's missing the little Ford logo there, still a really good thing to have. And with the key, heck, that's almost impossible to find. So good barn find. Speaking of things that are cool to come out of a barn, I found this. Now, it's terribly dirty right now, but for those of you that kind of know, that's an acetylene light. And this might have been either on it could have been on a motorcycle, it could have been on a bicycle. With the way this is mounted with the lenses off to the side, it might be more of a motorcycle thing, but it's a headlamp on one side. It's got the little red reflector on the back that would mount onto a bracket. And it looks like it might have been nailed onto a wall at some point. It's got big old rusty nails in there. So we're gonna give that guy a clean, but these acetylene lamps are pretty cool. And if you have a bicycle or motorcycle from the teens or 20s, that's a nice find. And you'd have your acetylene fuel in there, you light it up. Kind of similar function to like an old coal miner's lantern, but again, a neat thing. And maybe if we're lucky, if I wash this up, we'll see that the plating under there might still be intact. So I guess we'll do a little bit of cleanup at the end of this video too. Things that I pick up just because I thought they were cool. Well, this is the top of a Boyce moto meter that would tell you the temperature of your coolant. And if your engine is running a little too hot, the glass is intact. The thermostat inside is intact, but unfortunately it's broken off on the bottom. This would have had a big fancy ornate base at one point, probably with a couple wings that came off the side so you could easily screw this on and off. Again, another part possibly off of that same 32 Ford. Maybe this is a little bit earlier, but a neat piece, not worth a whole pile with it being just a partial piece, but as a shelf decor or sort of an item you might want to put in your office, just kind of a cool thing. Didn't want to leave it behind. We also found this little tin, and when you look inside of the tin, it's an old, what is it? Tastefully Intense Mints, Barclays. Tin might not be terribly old because it has a website on the back, but what was inside the tin were some old watches. So you've got this 3/4 size, boy size watch circa 1940s with these sub-seconds on the bottom. And sometimes you'll find a watch like this, and Rolex actually used to make a lot of watches this size. This one is not a Rolex. If it were, it would have a screw-down crown, the Rolex logo on the side typically, and it would have a screw-down back. That is not, but it's still kind of a cool piece. And you don't want to pass up a bunch of neat old watches. This one is an automatic watch. So black dial, has this fluted sort of bezel all the way around, which was gold with black two-tone, very 1950s, was probably gold plated the whole thing. It's a little worse for wear, but it's still kind of a cool piece and could probably clean up. And we've got another one here, same deal, 1950s kind of watch. But what I thought was cool in the bottom were these two, well, there's a few things in here in this tin. I'll get a little bit closer to show you guys. There is a dog tag license, 1962. So somebody's pooch had that on their collar. There is a little stamp in there, but and another dog tag license, this one from 1953. So it went through a couple dogs from the looks of things. But these little pins were neat. There's two of them in here. These are quite old. And I don't know if you can see that or not. It says, I'm in the province of Alberta. So it says the Alberta Beach Girl. And she is wearing like almost a turn of the century swimming costume. This probably dates from, around the 19 teens or 20s. It is of that era. And there's not one, but two. And seeing a girl in her bathing suit of that era was sort of a rare thing, especially on the prairies, very conservative. Unusual thing that I just hadn't really seen before, and kind of a nice find to find at the bottom of a little tin with some old watches and stuff in it. As we get into some of the other items here, well, I always loved old popular mechanics. I mean, you look at the stuff that people were coming up with back then. The Trailmobile, it's like a camperized vehicle. So you got a single driver's seat. It's all camperized in there, and these two are out on a vacation. It looks like he's gonna go fly fishing, and she is preparing, what has she got going on there? Maybe some fish coming out of a basket. He's been busy fishing, that's what it is. He's caught the fish and they're gonna have a meal. But really, really cool cover, really neat graphics. And these earlier books were so cool because they would oftentimes have instructions on how to build your own stuff, build your own telescope, build your own model airliner. This is the trail home. So they wouldn't just talk about it. They would give you instructions on how to build a lot of the stuff that's in here, and how to do tricks with matches. This is definitely 1930s era. And tips on taking pictures, on camera focusing, all sorts of neat stuff. And you look at this now, and I shouldn't think, well, I wonder how many people nowadays can change the tire on their car. Maybe more than I would think. But back in the 1930s, not only could you probably take your whole car apart and repair it yourself, you could get a magazine like this for 15 cents. And there's all sorts of tips on cleaning your firearms, you want to build a robot, probably instructions in these things for building stuff. So look, an underwater sea explorer vehicle with tracks. Look at that thing. This is like sci-fi, but it's like practical sci-fi. And you wonder, and look at these great ads in here too for racing car tires need no air. Oil stoves, I always thought things were so fascinating. Reviews of cars from the 30s. Just such neat stuff. Every one of these is such a fun thing to go through. If you ever find yourself, specifically the older Mechanics Illustrated like this or Modern Mechanics, you'd find just a lot of real neat stuff. And I often wonder with some of these, this is how to start your car in below zero weather. Some of this stuff might actually come in handy with the old Cadillac I've been working on too. They're using the heat lamp in there, they're getting it warm, all these sort of tips that you just don't hear about because a lot of this technology and a lot of the ingenuity behind running this old machinery is gone now. Look at this big hopper harvest hay on soggy ground. They put like barrels kind of on wheels. It's just wild and unusual stuff in almost every one of these. Was he measuring somebody's head? Thought I saw them measuring somebody's head back there. Well, either way, if you ever see these things come up, they're not terribly expensive. Some people even just like them to display the artwork. Like, what a cool thing that would be to have framed and hanging on your wall. I love the artwork on these old magazines. So I picked them up. That one didn't have a cover, but I thought the articles would be cool. And then you've got this one, Submarine Treasure Dredge, at the front in Ethiopia. So cool. Anyway, got 4 of those old Modern Mechanics out of the barn. They're a little dusty still. And last but not least, that came out of this little bit, these were put out in London in the UK, these Punch magazines, sponsored by the Motor Union Insurance Company. Punch, which is that little guy there, sort of the jester. These were magazine with sort of, could have been political articles, could have been humor, just kind of like, there's Hitler is a dumpy looking sort of guy. This is before, what year is this from? 1937. So this is before the war started. So you can see people weren't really sold on the guy even before he started the war. And what are they saying? The time has come, Hitler said, to talk of many things, of might and right. Well, you get a little bit of a history lesson reading through some of this stuff, and you get a sense of what people thought about what was happening then. Didn't seem like he was super popular outside of Germany at that time. But aside from getting some interesting articles and some interesting political opinion and stories, you had all these wonderful sort of ads. It's funny, they left the back of that Hitler thing blank because they probably assumed people were going to hang it up in their wall somewhere as a funny thing. Lots of neat stuff in these. Look at those old Omega watches, how old those are. 1930s Omega. Watch sizes have certainly grown since then. And then here's Dunlop Tires, the sponsor of this issue. They got their big ad at the top there. And we're getting a little closer now. So this is a couple years later. This is 1940 in there. See, now it went from making fun of Hitler a few years before to now Dunlop Tires do their duty, and they are in the midst of the war. And 1939 to 40, the military objectives, talking about what's going on. Just, you know, if you would have had the whole series leading up to it, you could probably get a sense of the foreboding of an impending war. See, look at the Rolex. I was talking about old Rolex. If you just saw that, you wouldn't think Rolex because they've had their, you know, oyster style watch for so long. But let's see. Margaret Ann knows what's good. How she enjoys her daily cup of OXO. Nothing like a steaming cup of beef bouillon to start your day. You complain about having, what you had, Ovaltine. That was like, I don't know. It was supposed to be like a healthy hot chocolate. Frankly, I didn't mind Ovaltine. Do you guys ever have that? Am I the only one? Is it like a Canadian British thing? We have a lot of stuff in Canada that they also had in Britain that people in the United States sometimes are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure you guys had Ovaltine in the US though. I always like to look at the ads in these books. They're a lot of fun to go through. Craven A cigarettes. Count their quality. It's funny. Oh yeah, made specially to prevent sore throats. They always made them sound like they're medicinally, like good for you. Doctors recommend menthol to ease a swollen throat. Nerve tonic food. Nothing like having no ingredients listed, but have a cup of nerve tonic food every day. You wonder. Then they also had, I saw somewhere they made asbestos clothing for babies to keep them safe, you know, from if your house ever caught on fire or something. It's just like how things change and how some things stay the same. Vita Wheat, Peak Freens, crisp bread. A light meal. Let's see, what was their meal then? This was a typical meal, they thought. A few crackers, a piece of chicken, and some soup. And a little bit of salad on the side. With some little, I think those are butterballs in the middle there. Glass of water. They're probably pretty healthy. See, nothing really that bad about that. Anyway, some cool stuff. So, when you look at this collection of things, when I went through, in terms of value, I didn't know actually when I bought this what the value of really much of this stuff was. I know that I've been able to sell those license plates for, you know, around $40 or so each. The instant sealer cans, maybe 40, 50 bucks, something like that. The Ford hubcap ended up being a couple $100 if you need one. Excuse me, that seems to be what they sell for. The Boyce moto meter, if it had been complete, would have been $100. In this shape, it's probably worth like 20. If I can get this cleaned up, which I will try to do before the end of this episode, clean it up a little bit. These used to sell at the shop for about 70 bucks or so. And the watches, maybe, you know, 15, 20 bucks each in that condition. If I can get them cleaned up and working, maybe a bit better. These buttons, don't know, probably 15 bucks a piece, something like that. And the magazines, probably the whole lot would be like, you know, 5 or 10 bucks a piece. So maybe 30, 40 bucks for that. So you're looking at still probably retail, maybe 400 bucks, 500 bucks, a little better out of this whole lot. So it pays to dig through a barn. I paid 100 bucks total for the stuff here, and I'm certain there will be some profit there, although it will take some time and some effort and energy to get this stuff moved along. But I think there's some really cool things in here. But let me clean this up at least. Let's see if we can't make this look a little bit better. I should dust off before I take it in the house because I'm sure Melissa doesn't want mouse dust and dander inside of our kitchen sink. And neither do I, frankly. But let's see if we can get this shined up a little bit. I don't need to use the kitchen sink. We have sort of a utility sink here. I'm gonna spray a little degreaser on there. do both sides of that really thoroughly. Oh, it's strong. See if that works. Do a little magic. I'm gonna get this nice and hot. Get that nice and hot. And we'll see how this starts to come off. Well, I can see some grime floating off of there. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a rinse down and then I'll use a scrub brush on it. Definitely taking some stuff off. Well, cleaned up a fair bit better. I mean, there's some corrosion on there, which is to be expected. I might have been incorrect. I've seen the acetylene style before, but this has a little tiny wick in there. See it on the inside? It has a wick like a little oil lamp. And this little container on the bottom is where you put your fuel for the lamp. And then you light it like a little oil lantern and close it up. And it would have a nice glow to it, red on the back and clear on the front, like so. It's all there, even right down to the wick, and I had no idea because it was so filthy dirty. But cool little piece, and it's got a lot of its nickel plating left on it too. So a fun little box of treasures. I think my favorite though, my favorite's gotta be the old oil can or the antifreeze sealant can. Look at the graphics, it's just so cool. Just a stubby little guy in his scuba suit with his tools ready to go. That's just so cool. So I guess you never know what you're gonna find in a barn. And in this case, this stuff had been sitting there for probably 40, 50, 60 years, something like that. So there are still finds out there to be had. There are still barns around with stuff in it. And I'm always overjoyed when I get a chance to go through and find some cool things. Hopefully I'll get a chance to go back and buy some more. I hear there's some really cool stuff out there, and I guess you don't know until you knock on the door again. So we're gonna do that. Hopefully I'll get a video in there, but guys, thanks for watching today's episode. Got a few cool license plates, a few cool magazines, and keep myself busy for a while. Have a wonderful day. We'll see y'all soon. And as always, bye for now. Oh, and subscribe. You should do that. Subscribe and hit the little bell at the top so you get notified when my videos come out. See you guys soon. Bye.